Good afternoon and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the CTC webinar presented by ATG, Fast Track Project Setup. I am your host, presenter, Patrick Podeyn, an AEC Technical Specialist here at ATG USA and the Phoenix office. A little bit about me. I am an Autodesk certified professional with Revit architecture and Revit structure. I'm a lightly seasoned Dynamo user and Dynamo trainer. I've been using Dynamo for about 5 years now. I'm a seasoned amateur golfer. Currently, I'm a scratch golfer. Playing golf out here in Phoenix is awesome. It's good to have that many golf courses at your disposal. I'm also a massive foodie. Love food, curry, burgers, anything like that. I love it. I'm also on Twitter. I am at the Notorious BIM. If you have a Twitter, go ahead and shoot me a follow. I'm also on LinkedIn as well, if you want to shoot me a follow. Also, too, I'm working on a Striker M laptop currently, one of the fastest production PCs ever built. Mine specifically is the laptop. Working on an Intel Core i9 9900K CPU at 3.6 gigahertz, which is really fast, and 64 gigs of RAM. We have a couple white papers out there that talk about the importance of having a really quick production machine. So go ahead and check them out. The link is down there below. All right, so course description. What are we going to look at today? What are we going to talk about today? So we'll look specifically and talk about when we first start a project in Revit. One of the tedious tasks with starting a project can be view and sheet creation. That seems to be the most tedious thing that you can encounter when working on a project. Setting up sheets as well. We'll look at a tool in the CTC BIM project suite to help with that. Some of the course learning objectives. We're going to look at how we can identify areas of a project start workflow to implement this such tool. We'll look at how we can operate the tool. It's very easy to use, very self-explanatory tool to use. And then we'll identify areas of the project template that could benefit from the tool as well. So if you're working in your project template, we can look at how we can leverage the tool to start streamlining some of those things. So when we do start a project, there isn't as much stuff to create moving forward. So it's going to be located in the BIM project suite. This set of tools are tools to kind of allow your users to have these tools to leverage to streamline the workflow. So we see two sets of tools, two colors. So we see a dark green color and we see a light green color. The dark green color tools, these tools are paid. You'll need to have a subscription in order to use these tools. We'll be specifically looking at the view creator for today. These lightly colored green tools are free. So regardless if you go through your trial and you decide to not buy the tools, these light green tools will be there for you to use as well. The renumbering one, I would say, is a very awesome tool to have, considering that it is free. So again, we'll look at the view creator today. We're going to look at some view creation awesomeness. So we'll look at how we can leverage the tool in creating multiple plan views, duplicating views, creating levels, dependent views. Dependent views are one set of views that do take some time to set up, depending on the amount of areas that you have and the amount of levels that you might have. Very useful there. We'll look at how we can leverage this tool for schedules, sheets. We're essentially going to go through all of the title blocks or all the tabs that we see here. And then kind of the last one, we'll look at how we can map view templates to kind of verify that view templates are associated to the right views. And if they're not, we'll look at how we can perform that process. All right, so I'm not one for PowerPoint. I'm more hands-on. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. It's time for example. Let's hop into Revit 2021. I am in the sample project, the advanced sample project specifically. There's a couple things that I have set up here purely for demo purposes. Maybe it's something that is incorporated in your template or something that could be incorporated in your template to better utilize this tool. So I'm in the CTC tools, BIM project suite, and we'll see the view creator here. Click on it, and it'll bring up this UI. Now this UI, if we want to work within Revit, we'll have to close this UI out in order to work within Revit. So kind of just keep that in mind if you're creating levels or views, right? And you want to create the level, go into your elevation view, you'll have to close out of this UI in order to do that. So we can create levels. We can also modify the levels that are in here if we wanted to. We can modify these elevations, right? If I wanted to make that 13 feet, I can type in the number 13, defaults to 13. How do we push that update out? See down here at the bottom, it says create/update levels. We'll click on that button there. It'll take a second or two, and then it'll come back with a pop-up saying, okay, these views have been created. So it looks like there's a multi-story stair associated to it, so an error is popping up, so I'll just hit OK. And then we can see a list of stuff that has been done. So levels created, we didn't add any additional levels to create, so that's going to be 0. Levels updated, it updated that one level that I had changed there, or if I had changed all of them, it would read that. Level creation failed. Again, we didn't try to create any levels, so that's going to read as failed. So I'll hit close there. If we want to add a level, we'll come down here to the bottom left. We'll see add level. We'll click on that. And so we'll just be prompted to type in the name. So I'll just create a generic top of steel elevation. And then we just input the actual level elevation corresponding to it. So I'll just make this 38 feet, 6 inches, right? So 38.6. I hit enter, it's going to prompt me to add another one. I want to stop at this point here and just create this one level. Create and update levels, click on that, it says one level has been created. So I'll click close there, right? If we want to view that level actually being created and that modification actually happening, we can close this out. Go to any one of our elevations, go to my north elevation, and we can see that level created for us there, top of steel, 38.6. And then we can see here our floor 2 has modified with that change. It's pretty useful if you want to manage your levels from a tool or an add-in rather than managing it within the any of the elevations or sections. So pretty useful there. So we'll go back to our entry level, close out of that view, go back into the view creator and look at the next tab in there, the plan and ceiling. So this one's pretty useful. I actually use this a lot. If you're familiar with some of the webinars I've presented in the past, I'm very Dynamo heavy. I love Dynamo, but you really can't beat an add-in, honestly. It just works. No need to rely on custom packages or anything like that. So I'm all for Revit add-ins. All right, so what we can do here is a couple things. We can create some views based off of a naming convention of with levels, view templates, and phases. And so down here at the bottom is how we can sort how it's going to name our views. So it starts with a prefix, right? So prefix and then a view template. So whatever we put in the view template is going to add it first, and then whatever is next, which is level, and then phase lastly. So let's say we want to create a level for our top of steel just to utilize it as an example. So we'll check the level. Do we want to add an abbreviation or anything to it? Maybe we want to indicate this is top of steel, right? Or something along those lines, any sort of abbreviation to actually represent the name of that level. Without this in there, it'll just say TOS or whatever the level name is. After that, we're going to associate a view template to it. If you don't have a view template for it, no worries, you don't necessarily have to do that. There are 3 options in here for no view template, so it's just going to create the view without a view template associated to it. And so if you want to utilize those, we'll just check those, and then we have to associate an abbreviation for it or something to relate it to. So no plan view for an architectural, right? We'll just call this floor plan. And then we'll call this one structural plan. So we have those two checked. So it's going to create two views for me, one called top of steel floor plan and then top of steel structural plan, right? And then next after that, we have to fulfill the phase checkbox. So we can put in new construction. If you want to put an abbreviation in there, you can do so. If not, just check no abbreviation, and it's just going to associate the new construction phase to these two views here. If say you had you wanted to do existing, right? We could do existing as well, and we can put in existing as the abbreviation, or EX if you have that sort of abbreviation associated. Before we hit add, let's go ahead and verify and view some of the things in here. Do we want to add a prefix? No. Do we want to add the order of which it's going to create it? So view template, so structural plan, top of steel, and then the phase, right? If we want to change that around, we can just click on the drop down, change this to level, that one blanks out, and then we have to associate view template there. And then any suffix we want to put at the end, we can do it there. So I'll just hit backspace on that. We'll click add. And so then we can see the names of the views that it's going to create and how it named it. So again, level, top of steel, floor plan. And then since it's a new construction, right, it's not going to have an abbreviation associated to it. So it's not going to have anything there. Top of steel, floor plan, existing, right, adds that abbreviation in there. Now say you want to maybe rename one of these views or potential views to be created. We can click on one of them, click on rename. Say we want to add in the spaces there, right? We can hit OK. Rename there, add in that space there. Whoops. Did I add too many spaces? I did, so I'll hit OK there, right? So if you wanted to do that, you could rename them there. Or if you want to make sure the next time you do this, you want to have the names in there. So kind of remember where the spaces are going to go. So we have to add a space at the end of steel, and then we have to add a space at the beginning of the floor plan and structural plan. So I'll just simply remove all. We'll go into our abbreviation here. We'll just hit the space, right? So that way when it creates it, there's going to be a space before that first dash. And then we'll do the same thing for this view. We'll hit a space, hitting the home key to go to the front, and then we'll hit space there. So now if we hit add, we can see that that space has been added after the steel and before the floor plan, right? So if you want to make sure that that is associated in the view name, you have to make sure that that is a part of the abbreviation if there is an abbreviation in there. All right, so once we have these specified, we can go ahead and hit create views. And so this will pop up, say plan view created. There's 4 of them, 0 failed. Awesome, that's good to know. Let's go ahead and close this out. Scroll up to the top and we can see those views created there. Moving back into the view creator, right? We just created a structural plan and a floor plan. We can get a little bit more granular, right? So right now it's just showing floor plan, structural, and area plan type of view types. We want to create ceiling plans. We can go and toggle to the ceiling plan view type here, and then just pick that actual ceiling type, or if there's a view template we want to associate to it, we can choose those there. Following the same procedure of adding the abbreviation in, we can do that. Or if you're fine with the view template name being the actual name of the view, we can leave it without an abbreviation. If you have any 3D views in there, right, we can see we have one 3D view template in there that we can pick. And then elevation sections and detail views, right? We can create floor plans from these view templates essentially. All right, so we'll go next into the elevation views. This one's pretty useful if we want to create maybe existing views. This is going to create new views from the existing ones there. If we want to create duplicates off of those, maybe for design options or something like that, that'll come later in this duplicate tab. Right, so we can see that there's already elevation views created for our new construction here, right? If say we wanted to add in existing for those elevations, we can check those boxes, create those elevation views. We can see that 5 have been created. We close out of this, go down into our elevations, and we can see that it added the abbreviation EX to it. And also too, we should see that the phase has been changed to existing. Going back into the view creator, we'll go to the next one. So dependent views. This one is kind of my favorite one. It does require at least one scope box to be created in order to create the dependent views. So let's jump back into Revit and create those scope boxes. So View tab, create panel, scope box. Rename your scope box before you place it. Area A, the height 40 feet. You want it to go, if your building's higher than 40 feet, right, we want to make sure that this is encompassing everything. So that way all of our views are the same. So I'll just hit 100 and we'll create our first our scope box there, right? And really cool thing too is if we just copy this down, so CC to copy, right, it'll name it the next one, Area B, Area C, and let's just do one more, Area D there. All right, so we have 4 scope boxes here, right? You can imagine going through that whole process of creating dependent views, right? Maybe for some of you, you duplicate as a dependent, maybe some of you don't, depending on whichever one. If we're duplicating as a dependent, we have that ability to utilize the CTC tool to streamline that process. So we'll go back to the dependent view tab, and we can see all of these views in here. We can see the scope box that is placed in our file. And so real quickly, if we want to do a selection of views, right, we click on one, we can hold down Control. This is it's a little finicky to select multiple, but I'm going to just select all of them, right? And rather than clicking every single box for all of those, we can just come up to this check and then select selected, right? If we had maybe a couple of them selected, or if we wanted to do all, we could have clicked on all there. We can associate a phase, so it's going to apply the new construction phase to it, right? So we do this process once for new construction, and then if we had existing, we could do it again with the existing phase set. So once I have all of those set, I'm just going to pick all of them. Here we can see the type of view that it's going to be utilizing, so floor plan, ceiling plan, engineering plan. If you have other view types in here, those will also show. If you have a view type for furniture plan or a view type for finish plan, you would see those in there as options to select from. All right, so once we have those checked, we can hit create dependent views. It'll take a couple of seconds to go through and actually create those dependent views. Obviously, the more that you have, the more it's going to create, or the longer it's going to take. So dependent views created, it created 48 of them, right? So we'll just hit close there, close here, and then we can go and examine what just happened. So by expanding 01 entry level, we can see we have entry level area A, named it via the actual scope box that we had given, the name of the scope box that we had given. So area A, and it also sets the scope box, which is pretty awesome. So if I double click into this view, I can see that it has associated that scope box. So pretty quick tool to, you know, create these dependent views for you. I think if I were to do this manually, this probably would take me, you know, 4 hours, maybe less if I'm, you know, in power mode. I can probably crank these out quickly, but still, I did this in, you know, probably few minutes, like 3 minutes or less, to just create the scope boxes and then go into the CTC tool and actually specify the views that I want to have scope boxes created for. Actually, maybe less than 3 minutes, probably 30 seconds, right? And so now you have what could potentially be anywhere from 3 hours all the way up to, you know, maybe 8 hours or 2 days worth of work back in your life to focus on stuff that is more important than creating views. Maybe worrying about design, coordinating with your consultant, stuff like that. So you now have that time back to your life and to your project. So I'll go back to the view creator. So that's dependent views, and so we can see those associated there. Next we can go to is schedules. This one's pretty useful as well. So I've seen times we can have room finish schedules per level if we have a project that has a lot of levels. in our project, we can create a schedule per level, or if we wanted to create one per phase. So one I've seen a lot of is the door schedule, right? So we can just click per level, and it's going to create a door schedule per level, right? So we hit create schedules. It's going to create 5. We'll hit close here. And then as we go down to our schedules, we can see that it created those 5 schedules there, though it does create it for every level, despite the fact that we don't need one for the roof level or the top of steel, right? So easy to just delete those out. Now, the one thing that this does not do is it just creates the schedule with the name of the level associated to it. We still have to go in and associate a filter to it. And I tried this out yesterday. Even if we have the level field in our schedule, it's not going to automatically do that filtering process there. So we'll have to come down to filter by level equals 0, 1 entry level. Hit OK. And so now we'll see all of our level 1s. So you'll have to go through and perform that task still, going into each one, adding it to the field. And so one thing I should have done before this is add the level field to my schedule before running through that process. So kind of make sure that you do that and you don't run into the same thing that I'm doing. So add that, create the filter equals level 2, hit OK. And so if we go into the schedule, now we'll see level 2. So kind of sidestepping a little bit, talk about Dynamo real quick. This is probably something that could be, done in tandem with the CTC tool. So we have the CTC tool create the schedule for us, and then we could have Dynamo actually create that filter for those schedules just as quick. So kind of touching on Dynamo a little bit there. All right, so going back to the view creator, so that's kind of covering schedules, creating a schedule per level, right? If you have maybe working on a high-rise building and have 10, 15, 20 levels in there, right? This is a very useful tool to kind of get those created quickly. Sheets and title blocks. This is a way to sort of manage the title blocks or the sheets and the title block associated to it in your project. I know some firms may have both 30 by 42 and 24 by 36 in their project, and this tool could be a way to manage that and make sure that all sheets are on a 24 by 36. If your typical standard is 30 by 42, this would be a quick way to do that. We can batch add sheets, so batch add them there. So it just requires the sheet name. We do have to come back through and enter in the sheet number after the fact, but pretty easy to add in the sheet name. So if I wanted to create a bunch of detail sheets, right, I can say detail. I'll select all of that, copy, click enter, and then paste a couple times by hitting Control V. So we have all those in there. We can specify the title block that it's going to use prior to adding these sheets to the selection set here, right? So I'll just default pick the A1 metric, click OK. And so we can see those sheets in there created. It hasn't actually created it yet. We still have to click on that process button in order to fulfill that. We do need to input the sheet number here. So I'll just make this an A5, A6, 7, 8, 9, so on and so forth. Right, so we can see those are checked as such, right? If we check these ones here, it'll make sure that these sheets have the appropriate title block selected. If not, it will actually change it. So once we've done that, we can click on process. And so it'll give us an update. It'll say title blocks updated. There were 2 of them, which were these 2 floor plans. Views created 9, so it's created those 9 sheets there. And then sheet name and number updated. So if we wanted to update the name and number, we could do that in here, and it would just post it in here. And so it says views created, but it actually created sheets. So kind of just keep that in mind if you see that. It did not create floor plan sheets called detail or floor plan views called detail, right? Didn't do that. So hit close there, hit close here. We can scroll down and we can see those sheets created using the actual title block that we had specified. Go back into the view creator. and let's look at work sets. So this one's pretty interesting too. This one won't create work sets for you. What this one actually does is it will create a 3D view for you with the specified work sets on or off if checked. So if I wanted to create a 3D view with just work set 1 and my site stuff on there, so I made a work set for this file called x_site, put all my site information on there, and for this purpose here. So view naming options, we can add a prefix or a suffix, right? We can say, we'll add a prefix, we'll call it presentation, right? And then we'll hit create 3D view, created 2 3D views for me, right? Close that out, scrolling up to my 3D views here. And so it created one for the site and actually one for the work set. So work set 1, it'll show all elements on work set 1, presentation site, and it's just going to show the site information there. I do not believe this will create a single 3D view that will show just that work set in there, right? I had these 2 checked and we saw that it created 2 individual views there. So maybe this could be something for exporting out to Navisworks and you want to create 3D views very quickly, showing just maybe mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, if that's how you're exporting out to Navisworks as individual Revit files or NWC files, right? Have those ones checked and it'll create a 3D view specifically showing just those objects on that work set. So you could have one for structural, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and architectural, right? Have those ones checked and quickly have your coordination views, 3D views created, so you can then export that out for Navisworks. All right, duplicate views. So this one is going to allow you to quickly check the view that you want to create a duplicate of. So we can also filter through different view types, right? So if we do elevations and say we want, some demo elevations or some design option views for elevation views, we can have those there. So I'll just check those. We can check in here the amount of times we want it. So if I want 5 of my north elevation, right, I can click 5 there. If I want 3 east, right, 3 west, maybe 3 south, or actually let's just do 5. So 3 or 5, 3, 3, 5, right? It's going to create this view or duplicate it that amount of times. We can specify view naming options if we like to have in there. So if I wanted to have a design option, right, I can have design option there. I can specify the duplication method. So duplicate, just a plain duplicate with detailing, so with annotation or as a dependent. This is only going to be for floor plans, right? We can't create a dependent of an elevation view, I don't believe. So we'll just click duplicate and then we'll create those duplicated views. And so it's going to tell me it created 16 of them. We'll hit close. We'll hit close here and we can see those elevation views created. It is going to number them, give a number at the end, right? For the actual naming of the view. So we go into this design option north, right? It's the same view as this north elevation here, just is now a duplicate of it. And so if we have view templates for design options or anything like that, or if we're doing it, having different north elevations to convey different design options, right? We can just specify the design option through visibility graphics. All right, let's go into the view creator now. We'll look at the last tab, which is view templates. So this one's pretty awesome too, and it's pretty simple to use. We basically just drag a view to the actual view template that we want it associated to. So in here, we can see all of the views in our project. It's all expanded, right? If we wanted to deselect or collapse all, we can collapse all, expand all, we can expand all there. And so over here to the right are going to be all of our view templates in our project, right? We can see that we don't have any views associated to those view templates in there. So it's pretty quick and simple to do. So we'll just go and find our floor plans down here at the bottom. So I want all of these views here to be associated to the architectural plan view template. So I just drag this over to the architectural plan, release, and now it's going to associate this view template to all of these views as soon as I hit apply changes, right? So scroll up to the top. Let's do the same thing for our ceiling plans. Select all of those by Control Shift, selecting, and then drag this over to our actual reflected ceiling plan here, release it, and it'll place those there. We have our area plans. Let's do some elevation stuff here. So we'll do north, west, east, west, south, and we'll associate those to the architectural elevation. And so let's take an example. If these were our demo elevations, we have a demo elevation template in here. So elevations, architectural demo elevation, we could just drag those to there and it'll associate that there. Scrolling through this list, I'm happy with what I see. I'm ready to apply those changes, right? So I can hit apply changes. It's going to do some thinking. It's going to give me this layout of events that occurred or transactions if you're familiar with coding or anything like that. So it's performing a transaction. So it tells me, all right, everything was a success. The time that it happened to the actual millisecond here, and then successful. It updated the view template for this view here, the source view, who did it, and then the actual computer that it came from. Pretty awesome information here. Copy this to our clipboard, send it off to someone else to kind of verify or keep as record, or if we want to save it for whatever reason. We could also reset this change. If, say, you accidentally added one more thing than you needed to, we can reset that and it'll unassociate those views from those view templates. So if I click close here, I can still see that those views are associated to those view templates. So a quick and easy way to sort of manage the view templates or the views and the view templates that are associated to them, to kind of see a breakdown like this, rather than combing through and selecting all of your views and seeing what view template it's on. You could also do it with a schedule, I believe, see what view template is associated to what view. So kind of a couple ways to visualize that and make sure that everything is where it should be. So I'll hit close there, scroll up to the top, click on my entry level, click on this view here, and I can see that, I guess it didn't actually do it. There's no view template. Let's do that one more time. View templates. Might not have hit apply completely. Let's do that one more time with these views here. Architectural plan, apply changes, hit OK, close out. Interesting. It was working for me the other day, so you might have to get back on that one. But essentially pretty cool and easy tool to use, the View Creator. Save you lots of time with the repetitive and manual stuff within Revit that can really take up a lot of time and away from your project. So get some of that time back with the View Creator add-in from the CTC tools. If there are no questions or anything like that, have an awesome weekend. Stay safe out there. And yeah, have a good rest of the day.